Hi, Dr. Mindy Curry here. I'm a naturopathic doctor out of Portland, Oregon. I do house calls in the greater Portland area. I also have a small home office that I see patients in as well. And I'm here today just to talk to you about a wonderful medicinal food, milk thistle seeds. These are Silybum marianum, and these are known to be a very good thing for your liver. They both protect your liver from damage, and they also they can fix liver damage and to a certain degree, and also have been used for other things liver related, like getting rid of toxins and mushroom poisoning. Quite frankly, they've even found ways to inject this into people suffering from the deadly Amanita death cap mushroom, and have been able to save some lives with this weird little herb. And basically this is the seeds of a milk thistle. It is a thistle, and it grows pretty tall, and it's a lovely thistle. Actually, it has these interesting milky stripes on its leaves. That probably comes to why they call it the milk thistle. But the seeds itself, once it's bloomed and it turns into kind of a dandelion tuft at the top, each one of those little fluffs will fly away with one of these seeds and plant a nice thistle in your yard somewhere. But once it's all turned to duff, you can actually harvest those milk thistle seeds, and somebody else has. I've done it before, but you want to wear some good gloves, and you're going to get sick because they are very prickly. So these days, I'm now living in a wetter climate where the milk thistle just doesn't grow as dominantly. I used to live down in California, and there were just fields of big milk thistles everywhere. But these days, mainly I just buy it by seeds. When I went a little bit of liver cleansing, this is great if you're, if you're having any kind of hepatitis problems or any just general liver damage from toxins or too much alcohol or drugs, or you just want to do a detox, just a general cleanse. Milk thistle is a great thing to add in there. And it is like a food for your liver. This really is. It also has a lot of fiber in it, being a seed, so you're getting some nutrition in there too. The chemical constituent silymarin is what we consider to be the thing that really does the main liver protecting and liver healing aspects. Let's see. It has not a great water solubility. It's been used traditionally as a tea, but it doesn't actually extract that silymarin very well with water. You can make a tincture out of it, but I like and was taught just to eat it like a food. Basically, roast it to get a nice roasted flavor, and then grind it up real small. And that can either be like mixed with honey, or it can be just sprinkled. Basically, I like to just sprinkle a little bit of milk thistle seed, maybe somewhere between a teaspoon to a tablespoon each meal, just on the food itself, and just eat that as it tastes nutty, a tiny bit bitter, nutty. It's depending on how finely ground you get it, it's a little gritty. But it's quite palatable, quite delicious actually. Like I said, you can make it into a tea, but you're just not going to get as much extracted good stuff and liver benefit as if you just eat it whole or possibly tincture it. But basically, what I'm going to do, I have my pan. I'm going to get that going on kind of a medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and add the seeds in right now. Got an old bag here too. I'm just going to do a big batch. You can see quite a big variation in those two different different location where it was harvested probably. Some of these seeds are very tan, where others are almost dark brown. Now, the plan with roasting, or toasting I should say, these milk thistle seeds is that you don't want to burn them. When you start burning them, you're starting to lose some of the medicinal powers and create some more bitter flavors. But you want to get them to just that toasted level. And what I've been taught is you want to see just the first little wisps of smoke coming up there. Just you watch and you'll see just a tiny little wisp of smoke coming up, and that's when you know that your milk thistle is done being toasted. You want to kind of keep it moving a little bit. Like I said, not burn the bottom layer, but you want to get them just warmed up and just starting to have that tiny little essence come up. It'll take a moment. Let's just sit here and stare at it for a while. I'm beginning to smell the nutty fume just beginning to start. So I'm just watching to see that little wisp come up, and that'll tell me to get that off the heat. We don't want these to be browned. We just want them to be lightly toasted. Keeping them moving more now, just so that the bottom layer doesn't. And here it is. I can start to see just the first tiniest wisp right over here. See if I can see that. There are other places in the pan. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see just the tiniest wisp of little smoke coming up. And so that's when we want to turn that off. There, you can see it probably now. Let's cool those off. Little tipsy ride there. Okay. Now, what you could do is you could do it old school. You could do it in a big mortar and pestle. But these are very hard seeds. They're really hard. Like if you try to chew on one, you can do it. You can chew one. It's fine. But it's kind of like that little, it's like an unpopped popcorn kernel. So you're going to be really getting a good wrist workout if you're just grinding that away. My suggestion, something we all have, most of us have around the house somewhere, is a coffee grinder. A coffee grinder is a pretty good way to grind up something like milk thistle or other herbs. in general. Now, I recently purchased another grinder. It's basically, it's advertised as an herb grinder specifically. And this little unit out of Amazon, very slow, slow time getting here from China. This one actually has 4 blades in here. Your average coffee maker, Krups is a good brand for grinding herbs. It just has or it just has 2 blades that spin around. But this has, 4 blades that stick out and spin around. So the idea is that this should grind better. So we're going to do a little comparison test and see what comes up with the Krups grinder versus this strange little magic herb press thing. It doesn't even have a name on it at all. I found it one day looking for herb grinders on Amazon, and it had okay reviews, so I thought I'd give it a try. I've been okay with it so far, but let's see how it compares to just your standard. You're going to want to grind these pretty good. You're going to want to grind them pretty finely because, like I said, there's quite a bit of fiber in those shells. I'll put too much in, but it's working. I'm doing it pulses so that it'll move around and more evenly grind. Since I did fill it pretty full. Let's see what we got so far. That looks like a pretty good grind, huh? Looks palatable. Now obviously you want your coffee grinder to be nice and cleaned out. I actually keep a separate coffee grinder just for grinding up herbs. Because the coffee does kind of linger and all your herbs can end up tasting like coffee, which is nice sometimes. Other times not so nice. But check it out there. We've got a nice good powder. Good flavor too. Let's try the new grinder and see what we get with that. Do you think it'll be any better? Do you think 4 blades is better than 2? Let's see. Now you can see that they both hold about the same volume. The little blue one, I think maybe does hold maybe twice as much. Again, I'm gonna just pulse this one just to get a more even grind. Boy, that seems like it's really getting bogged down. Let me try stirring this around a little bit. The unit's not hot. It feels like that's about where I'm going with that. I'll give it one more stir, maybe a couple more zaps. Yeah. Let's see where we're going here. Now here's the powder I got into this one from this funny little 4-blade Chinese grinder. Let's compare that to the other one, which is just your average Krups coffee grinder. I kind of think maybe the coffee grinder did better. And frankly, I'm getting a tiny bit of an engine smell off of that new little Chinese grinder. I'm glad it didn't cost that much, because I'm going to say it looks like it's about equal to the coffee grinder. Maybe even a little bit more coarse. I think the coffee grinder has a stronger engine, despite this one having 4 blades. But it's still a useful item. Just something to consider. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into basically this just little serving jar. It's a dressing jar, but it'll make it real easy for me to sprinkle my toasted milk thistle ground up bits all over any kind of delicious foods, savory foods, sweet foods. It goes pretty well on both, because it is just kind of a nice nutty toasted flavor. Probably wouldn't put it on Jell-O, but things where you can hide a little bit of a fibrous nutty texture in there. Maybe not in my lemonade, but yeah. And there it is. Now I can just sprinkle a spoonful on. And that's a perfectly good, safe, nutritional, medicinal food. It's food for your liver. That's milk thistle. Ground toasted milk thistle. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Your body will love you for incorporating this herb that can be wild. It's wild mostly in like drier areas, but not like desert. But like, I used to live in Sacramento for a while, and Sacramento had just tons of wild milk thistle out by the river. Up here in Oregon, I have seen it here in Portland, Oregon, a little bit, but it seems like it's just not as thick and it's just not as big. You can definitely grow milk thistle in your garden if you really want to, but very prickly and ooh boy, it really hurts to harvest. So it's almost easier it is definitely easier just to buy the seeds. And what you want to do is you want to use this up fairly promptly. You don't want to just grind it up and have a big like bucket of ground up milk thistle that sits around for years. You want to kind of use this within a few weeks, maybe a month. Yeah, fresher is better. You're going to have a lot better flavor. You're going to have better medicine from a freshly ground seed than just buying ground up powder from the market. There you have no idea when that was ground up or what the quality of the herb was. Here you could see that the seeds themselves that were nice, whole, beautiful seeds. And you can see when the date was that they were packed. And so you know that you've got a good fresh milk thistle. Now, interesting thing I did read is that milk thistle seeds can germinate for up to 9 years. So that's a seed. The seed itself you can probably keep around for a while. Just once you grind it up, use it up. And hooray! So now that I've shown you how to make some wonderful medicine, I want to remind you that it's very important to go see a doctor or a naturopath or at least an herbalist before starting any herbals for your conditions. For one thing, you may not really understand what your diagnosis is. You may think it's just a little bit of this and that can be treated with some plants, when it's really something serious and you're missing it, and it could be fatal. Also, there are interactions between herbs and drugs, and there's also contraindications between some of the problems you may be having and the herbs you may think you need. So don't start taking anything willy-nilly unless you're sure what's going on. And to be sure, come see a naturopath like me. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I do house calls in the greater Portland area, and I also have an office in Milwaukee.